this is Pete for WYCE, live on site at Pitchfork with Annie Clark. You might know her as St. Vincent. She put on a great set this afternoon on the C stage, and it was amazing. And thank you so much for that.
Thanks so much.
The crowd was pretty responsive today, considering it was like 90 degrees out and sunny. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was hot.
I know you've had a great year so far. It's been very busy, and you're in just really high demand. And I'm just wondering if you can share a couple of highlights with us, just like a couple of the big things that have happened to you and your...
Sure. There have been a lot of highlights. Let's see. We got to go to China and Singapore and New Zealand in March, and it was very surreal and gratifying to see. I guess about half the audience in Beijing and Shanghai were expats, but then there was another half of like Chinese indie kids, like girls with Karen O haircuts, like looking so dapper, you know. So that was really gratifying and special, I think, to when you have these weird glimpses into, wow, there are people across the world completely, you know, culturally different than how I grew up, and they're into music. Another highlight, I guess, would be we played a Lincoln Center show in January with David Byrne guested, and Justin Vernon for Bon Iver guested, and Bryce Dessner from The National. So it was like a medley of stars.
Sweet.
Yeah, a cavalcade of stars.
I've noticed, just listening in my own personal observations, but also just hearing the crowd today, you kind of have an international feel to you, not grounded in a certain area. I mean, is that something that is often observed about your style?
Well, I'm from Texas, so yes. I think
that doesn't happen with Texas artists a lot.
Well, you know, I think that whatever happens, I'm just always trying to get at something that feels a little bit decontextualized, you know, like the beg, borrow, and steal method of music making, where you don't, and I think that's a big product of like technology and the internet and everything too, is you don't feel allegiance to any one, you know, movement or sound. You just can pick and choose and throw it all together.
Cool. I love the fact that you do your own lead guitar arrangements. I mean, it was like pretty incredible when you just break off of a line and then just do some kind of a raucous just guitar riff. I mean, is that something you've always
Well, everybody loves riffs.
Yes, they do.
I grew up, I grew up like being a guitar nerd. I mean, I think I learned like Jethro Tull's Aqualung is like my first or second song I ever like was like, yes, I really want to play that. So, I mean, there's kind of a prog. I guess I'm a little bit embarrassed to say, but there's definitely like some prog through lines, which is, should we take it there? Yeah, let's just take it there. Let's get it progged in this place.
Your music kind of like goes up and down. It's like and a lot of it has to do with that guitar. You'll be singing a beautiful line, and then it'll just totally change direction, and that's pretty consistent, ironically, throughout your music, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that just how it naturally happens, or is it intentional, or?
Well, I think
the contrasts.
I think that if you are a person who has ever like had a panic attack or had anxiety, that's very much how life is. You'll be sort of like romping down Sunny Street, and then like, oh God, all of a sudden the clouds come in. So it's always been very, very natural, a very natural thing for me to be like, oh, well, it sounds pretty now, but you know, obviously it's gonna get dark a little bit here. But I think the next record I'm just focused on songs and a little bit less of the jar factor.
With all of this, everything going on, how do you center yourself, I guess? What do you do when you take a break, or what do you get back to? Or do you ever get a chance to do that? Well,
I mean, if I live in New York now, so if I'm home, I do very normal things like cook food and make coffee and go see movies and I think that's a big stabilizing thing. Or like decorate my house. Very, very domestic things that that are creative in some regard, but
I'd imagine you're probably.
That's a very benign answer, but it's very true.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down and taking the time.
Thank you.